You know, when people talk about kings, they usually mean guys sitting on velvet thrones in drafty castles, worrying about taxes or borders. But if you've ever been to the Mara, really been there, in the dust and the heat, you know that's not what a king looks like. A real king looks like a wreck. A real king has an eyelid that droops because it was shredded in a fight. A real king has a mane that looks like it's been combed with a briar patch. I want to tell you about Scarface. You've seen the photos, right? Everyone has. That iconic image of him in his later years, looking like a battle-hardened general who's seen too much war. But the thing is, nobody really talks about how he started. They see the legend, the 400-pound powerhouse. They don't see the scrap of fur that could fit in the palm of your hand. And let me tell you, his start, it wasn't just rough. It was a miracle he survived the first week. So, pull up a chair. Let me take you back to 2007. Now, you have to understand the setting. The Masai Mara isn't a Disney movie. It's beautiful, sure. It's breathtaking. But it's also a meat grinder. It's a place where fairness doesn't exist. If you show weakness, you're dinner. And into this unforgiving, sun-baked arena, Scarface is born. But he's not Scarface yet. He's nobody. He's just a tiny, squeaking ball of fuzz, born into the marsh pride. Imagine this for a second. You're born, but you can't see. Your eyes are sealed shut. You can't walk. You can only kind of drag yourself around on your belly. You have absolutely no claws, no teeth, no defense. And you weigh, what? Maybe 3 pounds? A heavy book weighs more than he did. And the first thing you experience isn't glory. It's dirt. It's the smell of your mother's milk mixed with the dry, grassy scent of the den and the underlying metallic tang of fear. Because that's the reality of a lioness with cubs. Fear. His mother. Let's talk about her for a minute. We forget about the moms. We focus on the big males patrolling the territory, roaring their heads off. But the moms? They are the special forces. She leaves the pride to give birth, right? She goes into isolation. She finds this thicket, usually something dense, maybe a croton bush or deep in a lugga, a dry riverbed, and she hides. Can you imagine the exhaustion? Really think about it. You've just given birth. Your body is wrecked. You have these helpless mouths latching onto you, draining your energy, and you cannot sleep. Not really. Because if you close your eyes for too long, a leopard comes, or a hyena, or a buffalo that just hates, lions on principle, and wants to stomp your babies into the mud. So there's this tiny cub, our future king, huddled against her flank. It's hot. The air in the Mara shimmers around noon, you know. It gets so quiet, just the buzzing of tsetse flies. And in that heat, she has to move them. That's the rule. You never stay in the same den too long. The scent builds up. And in the wild, scent is a lighthouse beam inviting every predator in the zip code to come for a snack. So she picks him up. You've seen how they do it. It's the gentlest thing in the world. She opens these jaws that can crush a wildebeest's spine, and she gingerly clamps down on the scruff of his neck, and instantly he goes limp. It's a reflex. He curls his little back legs up, tucks his tail, and just hangs there like a furry handbag. She's moving him through the tall grass, this golden waist-high grass. It's beautiful to look at, But if you're 2 feet tall, it's a labyrinth. She's pausing every 3 steps. Listen, sniff, look. He's bouncing gently against her chest, eyes still squeezed shut, totally oblivious that a hyena pack is patrolling a mile away. He doesn't know that he's arguably the most vulnerable creature on the planet right now. He just knows warmth and the rhythm of her walking, but then comes the night. Have you ever experienced a true night in the African bush? I don't mean city dark, where there are street lights reflecting off the clouds. I mean dark, a darkness so heavy it feels like a physical weight pressing against your eyes. You can't see your hand in front of your face. This is when the world changes. The heat lifts, the air gets cool, and the sounds change. The birds stop singing, and the killers wake up. Scarface, this tiny blind scrap, is huddled in a new hiding spot. His mom has to hunt eventually, but right now she's sticking close. And then the sound starts. It's not a roar. It's that whooping sound. You know the one. It starts low, like a moan, and then pitches up into a giggling maniacal screech. Whoa, whoop! Ha ha ha! Hyenas. People think hyenas are scavengers, these cowardly things that steal scraps. That's garbage. Hyenas are efficient, brutal hunters, and they are smart. They know that a solitary lioness often means hidden cubs. They can smell the milk. They can smell the afterbirth. So, picture the scene. It's pitch black. The mother hears the snapping of twigs. She smells that distinct, oily, rotting musk of the clan. Her ears swivel back. She doesn't roar. Roaring gives away the location. She gives a low, rumbling growl, a vibration you feel in your chest more than you hear. She pushes the cub behind her with a paw. Stay. He doesn't know what's happening. He just feels the tension radiating off her. He feels her muscles coil, and then the shadows move, eyes reflecting in the moonlight, yellow, manic eyes. They're all 5, maybe 6 of them. They circle. They're testing her. They nip at her heels, trying to make her turn, trying to get her to expose the cub. This is the horror movie part of his childhood. Can you imagine the chaos? The snarls, the dust kicking up, the snapping of jaws that can crack bone. The mother is a whirlwind of claws and teeth slashing out into the dark. She's fighting not for her life, but for his. The cub is pressed into the dirt, instinctively freezing. This is the only defense he has. Be invisible. Be a rock. Don't squeak. Don't move. The fight is loud, violent, and fast. She catches one hyena with a hook of her claws, ripping its nose open. It yelps, a high-pitched scream, and scrambles back. The tide turns. Lions are bigger, stronger. Even one lioness, if she's angry enough, is a buzzsaw. The hyenas realize the cost is too high tonight. They scatter, their giggles fading into the distance, leaving behind the smell of blood and dust. She turns back immediately to the cub. She licks his head, rough tongue on soft fur. Check for blood. Check for broken bones. He's fine, terrified, shaking, but fine. You'd think, okay, surely that's the worst of it, right? He survived the night attack. He's safe. But nature has a twisted sense of humor, because what happens next is just bizarre. It's one of those things where if you wrote it in a fiction book, people would say, come on, that's too unrealistic. It's a few weeks later, His eyes are open now, milky blue, unfocused, but he can see shapes. He's starting to waddle. He's trying to be a lion, batting at blades of grass, growling his tiny, squeaky growl at beetles. The mother has him stashed in a thicket of croton bushes. It's a good spot. Thorny, dense, hard for big predators to get into. She's resting nearby, maybe 50 yards away, panting in the shade, keeping one eye on the horizon. Enter the baboons. Now, baboons are terrifying. People think monkey, they think cute. No, baboons are organized, gangs with canine teeth, longer than a leopard's. They are aggressive, they are loud, and they are omnivores. And omnivore means if they find meat, they eat meat. A troop moves through the area. There's barking, screaming, branches shaking. It's chaos. The mother lioness lifts her head. She hates baboons. Everyone hates baboons. They give away your position. But usually, baboons stay in the trees or keep their distance from lions on the ground. Usually. One of the big males, a dominant baboon, big shoulders, heavy brow, spots something in the bush. He sees the movement of a tawny little fuzzball. Now, usually, a baboon sees a lion and thinks run. But a cub is just a small animal. And baboons have this weird curiosity mixed with cruelty. The mother lioness sees the baboon drop from the tree. She stands up. She takes a step. But she's 50 yards away. The baboon moves fast. It's a loping, knuckle-dragging run. He reaches into the thorns. Scarface, again, he's just a baby. Doesn't know to run. He probably thinks this gray thing is just another member of the pride or something. Interesting to look at. The baboon reaches in, grabs him by the loose skin of his back, and yanks him out. Can you imagine the mother's reaction? It's pure panic. She launches herself. She's sprinting, covering the ground in massive bounds. But lions aren't built for verticality. They are ground forces. The baboon screams, a bark of triumph, and scrambles up a fever tree. He takes the cub with him. So now, picture this. This is the future king of the Mara, the legend, and he is currently dangling 30 feet in the air, clutched in the hand of a baboon who is jumping from branch to branch. The mother is at the base of the tree. She is pacing. She is making these low, guttural sounds of distress. She's jumping, swiping at the trunk, but she can't climb like a monkey. She is totally helpless. And up in the tree, it's a nightmare. The baboon isn't killing him immediately. He's inspecting him, grooming him almost. It's bizarre behavior. Sometimes baboons adopt things. Sometimes they tear them apart. It's a coin toss. Scarface is mewling. He's crying out for his mom. He's high up. The wind is blowing. The leaves are rustling. And he's being handled by this rough, alien creature that smells like musk and sap. He's being passed around. Other baboons come to look. They pull at his tail. They poke his ears. He's a toy, a living, terrified toy. This goes on for what must feel like a lifetime to the mother below. She can't leave. She can't fight. All she can do is watch her baby disappear into the canopy. But then, whether the baboon got bored, or was startled, or just lost his grip, it happens. The baboon is jumping to a lower branch. He's holding the cub with one hand. He misses the grip slightly, slips, corrects himself, and in the scramble, he lets go. Gravity takes over. Scarface falls. It's a long drop for a tiny animal. He tumbles through the air, flailing. He hits a lower branch, bounces off, snapping twigs, spinning, and then thud. He hits the hard-packed earth. The dust poofs up around him. Silence. The mother is there in a heartbeat. She's over him, shielding him with her body, snarling up at the trees, daring the baboons to come down. They don't. They screech and move on, the show over. She looks down at the cub. He's not moving. This is the moment. This is where the story usually ends. A fall like that, broken back, internal bleeding, neck snap, it happens all the time. Nature is fragile. She nudges him with her nose. She makes a soft, rumbling sound. Wake up, get up. He lets out a wheeze. The wind was knocked out of him. He coughs. He shakes his head, dirt flying out of his ears. And then, and I swear, this is the part that tells you who he's going to be. He doesn't just lie there and whimper. He plants his oversized front paws in the dust. He wobbles. His legs are shaking. But he pushes himself up. He hisses, a tiny, pathetic hiss directed at the trees. He's bruised. He's definitely sore. He's probably got a headache that would kill a human. But he stands. His mother checks him over, licking the dust off his coat. Purring so loud it vibrates through him. She picks him up again, gentle jaws on the scruff, and she moves him immediately. That spot is compromised. The baboons know. The hyenas will know. She carries him deeper into the bush, away from the trees, away from the open plains. As they disappear into the tall grass, you realize something. This isn't just a lucky break. Survival isn't just about luck. It's about durability. It's about how much punishment you can take and keep moving. Most cubs wouldn't have survived the hyena attack. They would have panicked, run, and been snatched. Scarface stayed still. Most cubs would have died from that fall, or been killed by the baboons before they dropped him. Scarface survived. He's maybe a month old, and he's already cheated death twice. And as the sun sets over the Mara, turning the sky that bruised purple and violent orange, you get the feeling that this lion, he's just getting started. The universe threw its best shot at him in round one, and he's still standing. But the Mara isn't done with him yet, not by a long shot. He still has to grow up. He still has to face the buffalo. He still has to face the other males. And eventually, he has to earn that name. But for tonight, he sleeps. Tonight, he's safe against his mother's side, the heart of a survivor beating against his ribs. And that, my friend, is just the first chapter. So, we left off with him surviving the impossible, right? The hyenas, the baboons. He made it through the gauntlet of infancy. Now, I want you to fast forward with me. Let's skip ahead about 2, maybe 2.5 years. If you saw Scarface now, you wouldn't recognize him. He's not that helpless little fuzzball anymore. But he's not a king yet either. He's a teenager. And I don't care what species you are, human, elephant, lion. Teenagers are all the same. They are awkward, they are cocky, and they are dangerous mostly to themselves. Picture him at this age. He's got these long, gangly legs that he hasn't quite grown into yet. His paws look comically big, like a puppy wearing his dad's boots. And his mane? Oh, man, the mane is a disaster. It's not that majestic, flowing black cowl you see in the famous pictures. It's this scruffy, patchy mohawk running down his neck. He looks like a punk rocker who woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Life is good, though, really good. For a young male lion in a strong pride, life is basically a frat party. You wake up late, you wrestle with your brothers. You annoy your sisters until they swat you. You wait for the moms to kill a wildebeest, and then you muscle in and eat the best parts because you're the prince. You have zero responsibilities. You don't patrol the borders. You don't defend the territory. You just exist to eat, sleep, and practice roaring. And let me tell you, his roar at this age, it's pathetic. It's this cracking, half-hearted moan. He thinks he sounds terrifying, but the older females just look at him like, "Honey, please, stop." He feels invincible. Why wouldn't he? He's part of the marsh. Pride. They own the best real estate in the Masai Mara. They have water, they have shade, they have food on delivery. He thinks this is how life works. He thinks the safety net will always be there. But nature loves to pull the rug out. It starts on a Tuesday. I don't know if it was actually a Tuesday, but it feels like a Tuesday, you know? Just a regular hot, dusty afternoon. Scarface is dozing under a gardenia bush, probably dreaming about chasing zebras. Then the sound comes. Have you ever heard a lion roar from 5 miles away? It's not just a sound. It's a vibration. It hits your diaphragm. But this roar, this isn't his dad. It isn't his uncle. It's a stranger. And it's not just one voice. It's 2, maybe 3. They are roaring in unison. In lion language, that's not a greeting. That's a declaration of war. It says, "We are here. We are strong. And we are coming for everything you have." The mood and the pride changes instantly. You know that feeling when the air pressure drops right before a hurricane? The birds stop singing. The wind dies. That's what happened. Scarface stands up. He looks at his mothers. Usually they are calm, immovable. But now their ears are pinned back. Their tails are twitching nervously. They are gathering the little cubs, the new babies, and ushering them into the thickets. Scarface looks at his dad, the old king. He's a massive lion, battle-scarred, experienced, but he's old. His teeth are worn down. His hips are stiff. He hears the challenge, and he stands up heavily. He roars back, but, can I be honest? It sounds tired. It sounds like a bluff. The invaders arrive at sunset. They don't sneak in. They walk right down the center of the plains, shoulder to shoulder. They are huge, prime males, muscles rippling under their skin, manes thick and black, eyes fixed on the prize. They look like a biker gang rolling into a quiet town to torch the place. The fight, I won't give you the gory details because it's not glorious. It's ugly. It's fast. Scarface watches from the sidelines. He wants to help, right? That's his instinct. Defend the pride. But he is frozen. He's 2 years old. He's big, but he's not a fighter. If he jumps in there, he's dead in 10 seconds. These invaders are professionals. They take down the old kings with brutal efficiency. There's dust, blood, the sound of snapping bone, and then silence. The old kings are gone, run off or killed. The dynasty is over. Now, here is the hardest part. This is the part that breaks your heart. The new kings turn their attention to the pride. They want to mate with the females. They want to start their own bloodline. But to do that, they have to erase the past. They look at Scarface. They look at his brothers. To them, Scarface isn't a prince. He's a rival. He's genetic competition. If they let him live, he'll grow up and come back for them. So, the death warrant is signed right there in the dust. Scarface looks to his mother. This is the lioness who carried him through the tall grass, the one who fought off the hyenas for him. He expects her to defend him. He expects her to stand between him and these monsters. But she turns on him. She snarls. She swipes at his face. She chases him. Can you imagine the confusion? The betrayal? He doesn't understand that she's saving his life. She knows that if he stays, the new males will kill him. The only way he survives is if he leaves now. So, she drives him out. She bites his heels. She roars at him with a fury he's never seen before. Go! Get out! Run! And so, he runs. He runs until his lungs burn. He runs until the familiar scent of the marsh pride, the smell of home, fades away and is replaced by the smell of fear and dry earth. He doesn't stop running until he crosses the invisible line, the border. Now he is in no man's land. Have you ever been kicked out of your own house? I don't mean moved out for college. I mean locked out with nothing but the clothes on your back, knowing you can never go back. That is Scarface now. The next few months, this is the dark period. This is the crucible. He is a refugee in his own land. He has no territory. That means everywhere he steps, he is trespassing. Every bush he sleeps under belongs to someone else. Every drink of water he takes is stolen, and he is starving. See, here's the thing about male lions that people forget. They are terrible hunters, especially at that age. The females do 90% of the hunting in a pride. Scarface, he's never had to hunt for himself. He's watched, sure. He knows the theory. Creep low, jump, bite neck. But execution is different. He tries to hunt a zebra. He stalks it, heart-pounding, thinking he's invisible. But he steps on a dry twig. Snap. The zebra looks up, snorts, and trots away. He tries to hunt a warthog. He rushes it too early. The warthog scampers into a hole, leaving Scarface with a face full of dust. He loses weight. His ribs start to show. That shaggy mohawk mane looks even more pathetic now because the skin underneath is loose. He's covered in flies. He's constantly looking over his shoulder because he knows the new kings of the Abe. Marsh Pride might be patrolling. If they find him, they'll finish the job. The nights are the worst. He's used to sleeping in a pile of warm bodies. You know, a big cuddle puddle of lions. Now he sleeps alone. The ground is hard. The cold seeps into his bones. He listens to the hyenas whooping in the distance, and for the first time, he realizes, I am not at the top of the food chain anymore. I am on the menu. He starts eating garbage. He bullies vultures off a rotting carcass. He eats a tortoise, crunching through the shell just to get a mouthful of meat. It's humiliating. He is a prince of the blood, and he is eating scraps. There comes a point where he just collapses. It's the middle of the day. The heat is oppressive, 100 degrees in the shade. He's lying under a thorny acacia tree, panting. His tongue is lolling out. He's so thin. He looks at the horizon. The heat haze makes everything shimmer and dance. He's thinking about giving up, really, just closing his eyes and letting the darkness take him. It's too hard. It's too lonely. But then he sees movement. Through the shimmering heat, shadows appear. Scarface tenses. His first thought is, invaders. They found me. He tries to stand up, but his legs are weak. He bares his teeth, ready to go down fighting, but he knows he has nothing left in the tank. The shadows get closer. They take shape. They aren't the massive invaders. They are lanky, scruffy. They are teenagers. It's his brothers, and maybe a cousin or two. The other boys who were kicked out. There's Morani. There's Sikio. There's Hunter. They look just as bad as he does. Their hip bones are jutting out. They are covered in mange. They look like a group of castaways. They stop a few yards away. They look at Scarface. He looks at them. There's no dramatic music. There's no slow-motion run. They just walk over. One of them bumps heads with him, a soft, solid thud. Another one rubs his flank against Scarface's shoulder. It's a greeting. It's a check-in. You alive? Yeah, me too. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts. The loneliness evaporates. They lie down together in the shade, a pile of bony, smelly, exhausted lions. But the pile is everything. They realize something profound that afternoon. Alone, they are dead. A solitary male lion in the Mara is a walking ghost. He can't hold territory. He can't hunt big game. He can't fight off a coalition. But together they are a gang. They look at each other, and you can almost see the gears turning. I watch your back. You watch mine. Scarface isn't the leader yet. They are equals in misery right now. But as they lay there, heads resting on each other's paws, watching the sun dip low, a pact is formed. It's silent, primal, and unbreakable. They are going to survive this exile. They are going to learn how to hunt. They are going to get bigger. They are going to grow those manes until they are thick and black and terrifying. And one day, they are going to go back, not as refugees, not as scared kids. They are going to go back as conquerors. But first, they need to eat. Scarface stands up. He nudges Morani. He looks at a herd of buffalo in the distance. A few months ago, a buffalo was a death sentence. But with 4 of them, with 4 sets of teeth and 4 sets of claws, maybe, just maybe, he leads the way. He's limping a little, he's starving, but his head is up. The brotherhood has begun, and Amara has no idea what's coming for it. That was the day his childhood truly ended. That was the day the world burned down, and from the ashes, the musketeers were born. But let me tell you, learning to take down a buffalo, that is a whole other story. And it's where Scarface earns his first real battle scar. Welcome back. Take a breath. Seriously, take a deep breath. Because where we are going now, it's the summit. We've watched him crawl through the mud as a baby. We've watched him starve as an exile. But now we are in 2012. And if you were standing on the plains of the Masai Mara in 2012, you would have felt it before you saw it. A tremor in the earth, a silence that falls over the birds. They are coming back. The 4 brothers, the exiles, the musketeers. But they aren't the scrawny, mange-ridden teenagers we left in the last chapter. Oh no, time and hardship have forged them into weapons. They are massive now, dark-maned, thick-necked, covered in muscle that looks like steel cables under tawny skin. They move with that synchronized rolling gait that apex predators have. They are returning to the marsh pride. They are coming home, not to visit, to conquer. The takeover isn't a fight. It's an execution. The resident males, the ones holding the territory. They see these four coming out of the heat haze, and they know the violence is brief, brutal, and absolute. The musketeers sweep through the pride like a wildfire. This is the start of the Golden Age, but it's also the moment where our hero gets his name. You have to picture this battle. It's chaotic. Dust, teeth, claws. In the middle of the melee, Scarface, who is just one of the brothers at this point, locks horns with a defender. It happens in a split second. A claw hooks, a head jerks back, and his face is ripped open. It's not just a scratch. It's gruesome. The right eyelid is torn almost completely off. It hangs down, a bloody, fleshy flap covering his eye. Now, in the wild, an injury like that is usually a death sentence. Think about it. The flies, the infection, the blindness on one side. Most lions would retreat. They would waste away from the fever. But this lion, he doesn't even stop roaring. He shakes his head, sending blood flying, and he steps forward. He claims the territory with half his face hanging off. He heals, but he never looks the same. That eyelid fuses in a permanent winking grimace. He looks terrifying. He looks like a villain from a comic book. And that's when the whispers started. The humans, the guides, the locals, they stopped calling him just one of the musketeers. They gave him the name Scarface. And with that face, he became the face of the Mara. But a cool scar doesn't make you a king. What happens next? This is the part of the story that sounds made up. If I didn't know the stats were real, I wouldn't believe it. Scarface turns into a war machine. Remember Chapter 1? Remember the terror? Remember the hyenas giggling in the dark, circling him when he was a helpless baby? Remember how they tried to snuff him out before he even started? Well, Scarface remembered. I truly believe that lions have memories. I believe they hold grudges. And Scarface declared a personal war on the hyena population of the Masai Mara. This wasn't normal territorial behavior. Usually a lion will chase a hyena off a kill, maybe nip at it. Scarface hunted them. There are stories, confirmed, stories of him walking into the middle of a hyena clan alone. Now, a clan can be 40, 50 hyenas. They can rip a lion apart. But Scarface would walk in, that heavy black mane bristling, that one good eye burning, and the hyenas, they would freeze. He was a butcher. They say that over his lifetime, Scarface was responsible for the deaths of over 400 hyenas. Let that number sink in. 400. That is an army. That is a genocide. It was poetic justice on a biblical scale. The creature that tried to eat him in the cradle became the creature he hunted into the grave. And it wasn't just hyenas. You know, a successful male lion might survive a few takeovers. Maybe he fights off 5 or 6 rivals in his life. Maybe 10 if he's a legend. Scarface took down 130 rival male lions. 130. He was a gladiator. He was fighting constantly For nearly a decade he held the throne. In lion years, that's an eternity. Most kings last 2, maybe 3 years before they are overthrown. Scarface and his brothers held the line year after year after year. He was the brawler. He was the one who went into the tall grass when the strange roars started. He was the one who came back limping, bleeding, but victorious. But, and this is why we love him, that's only half the story. If he was just a killing machine, we'd respect him, but we wouldn't love him. We wouldn't have people flying from New York and Tokyo just to catch a glimpse of him. The truth is, Scarface was a rock star. There was something about his personality. He had this swagger. He knew he was the king. He would pose for photos. I swear to you, he knew what the cameras were. He would sit on a termite mound, the sunset framing that jagged, scarred profile, and he would just look out over his kingdom with this regal, calm expression. And with his family. He was a softy. This killer, this slayer of 400 hyenas, was famously tolerant of his cubs. You'd see these tiny, annoying little lions chewing on his tail, climbing over his back, batting at his scarred eye, and he wouldn't snap. He wouldn't roar. He'd just let out a long, suffering sigh and go back to sleep. He was the gentle king at home and the devil on the battlefield. But time is the one enemy you can't fight. You can kill 100 to 30 lions, but you can't kill time. The years start to pile up. 2016, 2017, 2018. His brothers start to fall. Morani dies. Sikio dies. The Musketeers, the invincible gang, are whittled down one by one. And suddenly, Scarface is the last one standing. The twilight years are heartbreaking, my friend. They really are. Imagine him. He's 14 years old. That's ancient. His coat is losing its luster. His hip bones are jutting out again, just like when he was in exile. He walks with a heavy limp. That massive body is breaking down. He's lonely. You can feel it. He roars at night, calling for his brothers, but the darkness doesn't answer back. And yet, he is still the king. This is the most incredible part of his legacy. In those final years, young nomadic males would come into the territory. These were young studs in their prime, full of testosterone. They should have crushed him. They should have ripped the old man apart. But they would see him. They would see that scar. They would smell the history on him, and they would turn around. They gave him a wide berth. It was almost like respect. It was like they were saying, "We won't kill you. You're Scarface. We will wait." He held his territory simply by being who he was. His reputation was a shield that protected him when his muscles couldn't. But the end comes for us all. June 11th, 2021. The news hit the internet, and I'm telling you, the world stopped. Grown men cried. People who had never been to Africa cried. He didn't die in a bloody battle. He wasn't torn apart by hyenas. Thank God, the irony would have been too cruel. He wasn't overthrown by a rival. He died as he lived on his own terms. He was in his territory. It was a peaceful afternoon. He found a nice spot under a tree in the tall grass that he had ruled for a decade. He lay down. He rested his heavy head on his paws. He was tired. The wars were over. The borders were safe. The cubs he had sired were grown. He took a breath. The hot air of the Mara filled his lungs one last time. Ideally, he smelled the rain coming. He smelled the herds, and then he slipped away. He passed away in his sleep. The king of the Mara, the survivor, the legend. When the rangers found him, he looked peaceful. The scar was finally at rest. Why does his story matter? Why did I just spend an hour telling you about a cat? Because Scarface is the story we all want to believe in. He was the underdog who was supposed to die in Chapter 1. He was the exile who was supposed to starve in Chapter 2. He was the warrior who should have fallen in Chapter 3. But he refused. He defied the odds. He defied the science. He redefined what was possible for a lion. They say you die twice. Once when your heart stops, and once when your name is spoken for the last time. Well, if that's true, Scarface is going to live forever. Because every time a lion roars in the Masai Mara, if you listen closely, really closely, you can hear the echo of the king. You can hear the story of the one who fought, the one who loved, and the one who never gave up. Long live the king.